Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the pros and the cons of working at a private practice as a therapist. This is part of a little series I am doing, trying to give you all some insight into what your options are, whether you are a new grad or you're in grad school, or maybe you're just a therapist who's thinking about making a bit of a career change and getting into something different. Now, I want to say that I do feel particularly qualified to talk about the pros and the cons of private practice because I have owned my own private practice for the last 4 years. I opened it in 2020, and prior to that, I worked at a group practice that I had interned at. And so I have only done private practice work. I have actually never worked for a community mental health agency. And you are going to hear some of the reasons why, because a lot of the pros on this list were extremely attractive to me, and a lot of the cons were things and challenges that I was not afraid to take on. And I don't say this to toot my own horn or say that this is better than other options. I think it is completely unique to your own situation, what kind of capacity you have, what kind of financial situation you're already in. If you are with a spouse who provides healthcare through their job and makes good money, then making a lot of money and having good healthcare might be less of a priority to you. So this is all very specific to your situation, but I am excited to talk about the pros and the cons of private practice, and I hope that you find this video helpful. Hi, my name is Alyssa Powers, and I created this YouTube channel to teach you the things that grad school didn't so you can thrive as a mental health professional. Please like this video and subscribe if you like content geared towards therapists and social workers. Now, I just want to say that based off my tagline, teaching you the things that grad school didn't, I would say private practice is one of the biggest things that gets overlooked in grad programs. Personally, almost no professors talked about private practice. It was viewed as something that you do when you are a seasoned therapist. You would never start out in private practice. They almost make it feel like it's unethical to do so, even though it is absolutely not unethical. So I even had a supervisor. I think it was my second practicum supervisor that I had. She was like a manager, I think, at a big agency. And one, she tried to recruit me to work there. But two, when I told her, oh, well, I want to go into private practice, she was like, don't do that. Like, you're not going to find clients, you're not going to be ready, yada, yada, just completely discouraged me. And I remember thinking like, okay, well, fuel to the flame, lady. I'm an Aries. You don't know me. I'm going to make this work. And I did. So just throwing it out there that it can be really discouraging when you are maybe someone who knows that you want to go into private practice, or the thought of it is very appealing to you to be a new grad and just not get that support and like encouragement from your professors and colleagues and future colleagues, I guess, your classmates. So let's get into some of the pros of private practice. The first one, and this probably is the most overarching theme of why I love private practice, is that you have autonomy and independence. I absolutely loathe working for other people. I was born to be my own boss. I grew up in a household where my dad was a business owner. He worked for himself. My husband is a business owner, and it just feels so right to me. And I absolutely love having autonomy over all the things. So like, I get to pick what clients I work with. I get to pick how I market myself. I get to pick what my niches are. I get to pick what hours I work, how much I charge, which is huge. So if you are working with insurance, then they dictate what you charge because they already have these set rates for different codes. But If you work for yourself in private practice and you are getting self-pay clients, then you can decide what you want to charge, which is a wonderful luxury. Now let's get into the cons of working in private practice. The one thing that I think intimidates a lot of people is that you do have to market yourself and you are in charge of finding your own clients. Now, if you work for a group practice, that might not be the case. You might have, a boss that's taking over all the marketing and more of like the small business side of things. But if you work for yourself, I will say that just having a Psychology Today profile will not be enough to find you high quality self-paying clients. So you have to have a little bit of that business mindset in you to be successful in private practice. There are, of course, the ways to outsource this if marketing is not your jam. There are people who build websites. You can run Google ads. There are all kinds of things that you can do to make it easier on yourself on the back end, but that stuff is expensive. So you have to look at if you have the resources to do that or not. The next con is that working with insurance companies is a huge pain. And this is why you probably hear that a lot of people in private practice recommend just being all private pay. And that model does work for a lot of people. I personally still have a couple clients that are using their insurance, and I have switched over to only accepting new clients that are willing to self-pay. So I've phased out of it slowly. But at the group practice I worked for, we accepted like 5 or 6 different insurances. And it does help because you can build up people's caseloads much faster, but you can't control how much insurance pays. So most clients are gonna have some sort of copay or out of pocket, that they have to pay towards their deductible. And then insurance can pay anywhere from around like $70 to $110. So that's a huge range. If you have a whole caseload of people that are on Medicaid and they are being reimbursed $70, your paychecks are going to look very different than a client who has better insurance that's going to pay more, or someone who has a lot of self-pay clients. So that is something to keep in mind. Working with insurance really can be so confusing. It's basically like a whole other job. So I have a billing manager that takes care of that for me. I send her a sheet of what, codes I used, who I saw, the dates, all that good stuff, and she sends that to insurance for me. It is a headache. So I would recommend doing private pay, but I understand that that can be very intimidating for people who are thinking about starting out, especially if you're a new grad. It can kind of feel like, okay, well, who the heck is going to pay out of pocket, $150 to see me? So even though that's a whole other story and maybe doing some mindset work could help with that, but that's the skinny on the insurance situation. And then the next con is that you just have to pay for a lot of your own things. So if you need continuing education, which everybody does, every 2 years you need to do continuing education, that can be quite expensive. Liability insurance, paying for an office, any sort of resources, if you're getting sand trays or you do play therapy, a lot of that stuff can just really add up. So it's something to keep in mind that it can be a lot of overhead costs, especially at first when you're furnishing a new office and all of that. But it can be really fun too to get to have control over all of that. I remember being so excited to decorate my first office, and I painted it like teal blue, and it was very trendy at the time, and I loved doing that, but it does add up. So that's something to think about. Right now I do only telehealth, so I have not had to worry about paying any overhead costs for an office, and I absolutely love doing telehealth calls with clients. So that's one way around it if you're not interested in doing that. And then the last cons on the list are more community-based, social. It can be really lonely in private practice, especially if you are solo in private practice and it's just you. I know I've mentioned many times on this channel that I'm a part of a networking group of other women who are also in solo private practice, and that's been really, really nice. So I can still feel a little bit more connected to the field, but it can be really isolating and lonely. And it's also just good to have friends in the field that can talk about different things that are happening. Like, things change, there are ethical things that can come up. I know in Ohio, they just changed some of the laws around like gender affirming surgery for minors. You just have to know some of these things so you can be ethical as a therapist. So having community is huge. And then another con, I guess this could be a pro or a con depending on how introverted or extroverted you are, but just the need to network can be very overwhelming. Like, I know some people are so good at this. They will send messages to doctors, psychiatrists, holistic doctors, nurse practitioners. Like, they'll have a whole network of people that are giving them referrals because they've built that up, which is wonderful. Even just having one referral source like that could change your entire practice and fill you up with all self-pay clients if they were a really good referral source to you. So needing to network can be a good thing or a bad thing. I personally took the route with my own practice of focusing on SEO, which is search engine optimization, which has allowed me to not have to do very much networking because I am so easy to find on Google, which is a hot topic for therapists. There are tons of other videos on YouTube, not made by me, but made by other therapists talking about how to do SEO work. But that was my route and I stand by it. I'm glad that I did that. And I hope that this helps. Hey, everybody. Well, I hope that, don't talk, don't be there. All right, everybody, I hope this video helped. If it did, please give it a like and subscribe. I would love it if you would leave a comment about what you think the pros and cons are of private practice, or maybe ask me some questions down below if you are someone who's interested in getting into private practice. I personally love it and wouldn't change it for the world. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.